you just got word of a few Prince documentaries that are coming down the pipe. I don't know. That doesn't really sound good. The coming down the pipe. Nah.
I think it's coming down the pike.
Right, and so that shows me where my head is at, right?
You're swerving.
But new Prince projects coming out. The first one I wanted to talk about quickly here is the Apple Music documentary, and this is a documentary that's going to be about Prince and the Revolution's 1983 performance at First Avenue. And of course, this is the performance where Prince does the first performance of like Purple Rain to the public, I Would Die For You, Baby I'm a Star. And these are the recordings that end up on the album and also are used within the movie. So they're actually, I assume, going to show this performance and then maybe interview the band and people around at that time to sort of make a documentary out of that. And then again, I assume it will be exclusive to Apple Music, which I have no dealings with. I don't even have iTunes. But very interesting announcement of that. I was just going to get you guys' opinion. Big Sexy, what do you think about this?
Well, hopefully it will not be exclusive to the Apple platform because I, too, do not have Apple Music. But knowing how a lot of these streaming things do things, they'll probably make it exclusive there initially, then open up for the rest of us. That aside, if this is going to be a true documentary, they should talk people around back then. But hopefully they'll address why Dez left and when Wendy came on the scene and when Wendy actually was asked to be in the band. Because that's something that, really hasn't been talked about. And I'm sure the people there that night, come to the show, look up, who's this? Where's Dez? So unless it was known publicly, I hadn't heard anything about it, but we will see because information, dissemination wasn't what it is now back then. So I'm curious to see how that came about.
All right. Aunt Pooh.
I have to echo what Mark said. And to the extent, I just think that is such a pivotal moment, him playing those songs for the first time, him right before Purple Rain got released. And further, I was reading Dwayne Tudell's book, The Purple Rain Sessions, and I pray they reach out to that dude. That dude, and because he really told the story about those songs, about how he had this band, and this was the band that he presented Purple Rain to the world. And he said it in such a more elegant way than I'm paraphrasing here. But I really would like them to delve into the band members as well, and talk about the trust that he had to perform these songs that were really going to put Prince on this elevated mainstream pop stage. So I'm excited because I think, again, it's one of those stories that I think we kind of just forget about. We know hardcore Prince fans have a reverence for that performance because of the songs that came out of it. The fact that people had no idea that they were listening to something that was magical, and just to get behind the scenes of that whole thing being put together. Hopefully we get rehearsal tour footage as well, which I know a lot of people, after seeing Nothing Compares to You, would love to see some more of that. So I'm kind of hyped for it. And unlike you two losers, I'm piggybacking on the family's Apple Music subscription, so I'll be able to see it. Yeah.
Hilarious. Q-Storm, what say you, sir?
Well, I hope it's not exclusive to Apple Music, but it would be bad business if it weren't only exclusive. But so, for the duration of being able to see the documentary, I guess I got to sign up for yet another streaming service. Sorry, Tidal. But it comes down to, for me, you all can name all of the people behind the scenes, and you all know all that. I want some footage. I want to see him playing the music. That's what's most important to me. So, but I take what I can get. So, of course, I'm looking forward to it. This is the first I'm hearing about it, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I think, well, obviously it's it's a great performance. To me, one of the standout performances from me personally, I believe, is Electric Intercourse, which I always thought that version that he does during that show far exceeds the recorded one and just the one I always listen to. So it'd be great to get this performance. I would assume they are going to make sure that it is in the best quality that can be presented to us. So I'm excited about that. I would assume, they're going to be upscaling this thing and making it, HD, hopefully even 4K or something. That would be worth it for me to sign up and watch it. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. And I think for people that are not hardcore Prince fans, this will be exciting to see and to sort of hear the story of this. And so you can have the context to understand why this was so great that, it ended up being one of the top albums, ever of all time. And it was actually from this show before the movie and stuff. So it should be very interesting to see this come about. And I'm pretty much with everyone. I would be shocked if this was not exclusive to Apple Music. Like, why would they even waste the money? But kudos to the family in this state, because I know that's got to be a good check, to come through on that. I don't think they've announced who is actually making this, directing this thing, but I'm trying to see if I can find that out.
Go ahead. Is the concert in, you said it was in 83 in First Avenue?
Yes.
This is the one where he recorded Purple Rain, Baby I'm a Star. What's the other one? Oh, man.
I Would Die For You.
I Would Die For You. And that's what appeared on the album?
Yeah, and then, he went back in the studio and added a few little things, but
right. Okay.
And also the version of Purple Rain in this performance has another verse as well, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, looking out for that. I don't think they give a timeline as to when this is coming out. I would imagine next year. The other one I wanted to talk about is the Ava Duvernay produced documentary for Netflix. I don't think this has a title yet, but this has finally been announced that she's going to be doing a multi-part documentary that's to cover Prince's entire life. And, the great thing is she's been given access from the estate for all whatever's in the vault, video, audio, whatever it is. So she's able to go through and use whatever to her discretion, I would imagine. And apparently they've been working on this for a while already. I know some fans have been hearing about this behind the scenes, but now it's out there. So I believe she has already made multiple trips to Paisley Park, going through footage. I am super excited for this one because it is, as I always thought it should be, multi-parts to this documentary. So it shouldn't be just a one-night thing or 2 hours. Spread it out and really cover, Prince's career and his life. I asked a question on Facebook, like, who do you think must be included, in this, whether it's from associates or artists and things of that nature. But here's a couple takeaways that I'm really interested to see how this thing would deal with. And keeping this in mind, this documentary, excuse me, is not necessarily made for the hardcore Prince fan, right? It wouldn't make sense for them to do that. They've got to make it, they got to tell a story for the casual person, for the person who likes Prince, and, may have bought some of the albums over the years, but isn't like reading all the books and watching all the documentaries and going to all the concerts and sitting online debating over, this, that, and the third. So this thing has to speak to, it's got to educate everybody and bring it into, show his greatness. So I'm excited for that. The other part that I'm very curious to see is when it gets to the Maite times and, when their children and stuff, because I still don't think a lot of people were aware of all of that stuff that was going on. I know a lot of fans, read that Maite book and was like, wow. Yeah. So imagine for people who probably don't even know who that is. They just know some Prince. And maybe I think a lot of that 90s stuff went over their heads because he wasn't, being shown as prominently in the mainstream or other interests in music and culture and things. So a lot of people probably don't even know about a lot of those albums and tours and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see how that part is portrayed. And the other part that to me is going to be very interesting is the ending. I hope that Ava is able to paint an honest look at everything, right? Yes, it's being co-signed by the estate and this and that and third, but I want them just to be honest to Prince. And even if possible, not to show him in a bad light, but to show what happened. Like, to my opinion, you can't have, this thing can't end sugarcoated. I don't know if she'll have an agenda per se. Most documentaries have a narrative and an agenda they're trying to present. I hope that it just presents to say, here is all the things that happened during that time. Here's all the people who were involved during that time. And here's everything that we could find about it. Unless there's something glaring in what what she found to be like, yo, this doesn't make any sense. Just present it all. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it ends. And as it's being made, I'm sure certain people is going to be like, yo, it's about to get hot. And this, I don't know if this is going to come out next year or in 2020, but I guarantee you when it does come out, it's going to be hot because of that ending. He's not here, right? So Prince died. And so you can't make a real honest documentary if you don't address everything that was going on at that time and show the people that was there at that time. And it's still a touchy subject, and it's a subject that ain't really talked about. You're either on one extreme, you're either on, shout out to my man Chaz extreme, or you're on the extreme of, public face of the estate. They don't even deal with that. That part is not talked about. We just celebrating. So it'll be interesting to see how that is covered, because to me, like, I hope Ava is like, yo, I love me some Prince, but we're not going to sit here. But what we're not going to do is act like we don't know what happened or act like nobody talking about it. So, and a real documentary supposed to just give you the facts, and sometimes documentaries go in, right? Some people maybe, what's that one she has now, 13th? That goes in on this topic. They ain't trying to be sugar-coated. They get serious with it. So I want to see that same sort of like seriousness. And yeah, we celebrating Prince, and he is exceptional. Look at all the stuff he did in his life, and look at his life. Like, look what happened. So that's I can't wait to see about it. And then the other thing I was going to say too, when it does come out, I would imagine, they're going to push this documentary out there, promoting it. And I would not be surprised if she's out there doing interviews and things of that nature. Like, I can't wait for her to go on the Breakfast Club and do that press run, because this is going to be a great celebration for Prince. And it's going to be a mainstream thing. And you already know the culture is going to watch this, because a lot of people don't know a lot about Prince. They just know that one side. And so it's going to be great that you're actually going to have somebody that can go out there and tell the story so that people want to watch. And that's the one thing I always feel is missing with these Prince releases. There's nobody that actually can go out and speak on it. They don't put a person out there to go on these television programs to talk about the release and why it's important. So I'm sure that she will get out there and speak on this. How could you not? Like, we're celebrating one of our great ones, and it's a multi-night thing. It's on Netflix. It's important. So it's going to be good, because he's going to, in the next couple of years, they're going to really be celebrating some Prince. They ain't going to have no choice but to, because the culture going to watch this show heavy, and you're going to see all the tweets the next day, like, whoa, who knew Prince was that? Who knew he was, man, you see how hard he was working? Da, da, da. I guarantee it's going to set off a whole thing. And then they're going to have the conversation, man, what happened to, oh, you see what happened at the end? This person, that situation, da-da-da, and it's shine a little light. So anyway, go ahead.
My concern, not concern, but I'm curious if she's talking about doing a documentary that spans his entire life. First of all, I'm just curious, how long is it going to be? And second of all, to do something like that, I mean, that's not easy, unless they unearthed in the vault some private behind the scenes home movies or something. Otherwise, it seems like it's just going to be clips. It's either going to be just talking heads, which I'd still watch it, but can be talking heads and footage we've seen up teen times. So I'm just curious, like when she talks about when he left home and lived with Andre for a period of time, are we going to see anything? What are they going to show us? It's going to be pretty boring if it's just talking heads talking about it.
Right, which I don't think they would do that, right? Again, I haven't seen all of 13th, but I don't know if that was all talking heads.
Well, but I mean, but 13th, it involves a topic that there would be news footage. That I'm sure there's tons of news footage of people being jailed or people protesting, activists, all of that. This is about one man's life.
That has a vault of 30 years plus of material that we haven't seen, right? So again,
well, that's what I'm asking. Is there? What I'm saying is,
yes, there is.
I would think you'd have to have like personal footage, like behind home movies and stuff like that to fill in those visual gaps.
Yeah, I would agree. All right. Somebody's got their speakers. You can hear me doubling. Yep. So let's clean that up. Ampu, what's your thoughts?
Well, for me, my understanding is Ava Duvernay is an amazing documentary director, producer. 13th, even though it did get very propagandist towards the end, it was really well put together. So hopefully she has a affinity for Prince and is going to do the work. I mean, I look at Dwayne Tudor, I look at Alex Hahn, Per Nielsen, Torre. Knew it was coming.
It's crazy.
They put in the work to learn about him and to put out a narrative book that, except for Torres, that are pretty engaging. So I know that I've been told of Ava Duvernay, she's amazing when it comes to documentary. That's her real wheelbarrow. So I know she's going to go in and do that work and get the story that needs to be done and get all the footage and all the knowledge, all the talking heads. Hopefully we don't get people refusing not to speak. Hopefully we don't get, this camp, that camp, the revolution camp, the MPG camp and all the drama going there. And hopefully all the family members will be aligned with this as well. And we get a really great documentary series. I mean, the fact that it's being multi-part, hopefully they're at least an hour each and they can really dive into Prince's life.
All right, Big Sexy.
There are two recent documentaries to me that set the standard, and one of them I don't think had the access that Ava Duvernay is going to have. I'm talking about the one called Slave Trade that was made overseas that really examined his battle with Warner Brothers and his fight for creative freedom, which was well done. And again, they didn't have the access that she's going to have. And along with people that Anthony mentioned, she's got to talk to Alan Leeds. A lot of these other cats who were right in the middle of it, not necessarily from a musician standpoint, but from an office day-to-day standpoint. And that's where somebody like Alan can come in, or I forget her name, but a couple of people we've had on the show also can chime in as well. On the other end, if it's going to be multi-part and Netflix or HBO or whoever does it, then again, the gold standard is the Defiant Ones. If they do something along that line with that type of research and preparation and footage, because in the Defiant Ones, they had footage of Dre doing the world-class wrecking crew that I didn't even know existed. So if they can get into it with that, I think they will, because the estate and the family is all on board and letting her have access. And since this is her forte, I'm expecting it to be fantastic. And I think each one will be more than an hour long. I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Defiant ones because a lot of the great stuff in that. I mean, obviously there was a lot of talking heads, but it was a lot of footage, home video footage that Dre or Snoop or whoever in them shot just themselves in the studio that we've never seen before, and I think that's great. And obviously, as we know anything about Prince, he documented everything. And they're giving her access to. Now again, let's be clear, it's not just the video portion that he has years of content, it's the music too. So she's got access to all of the unreleased music and stuff that we have heard. So there's a huge potential here of showing, again, it's not going to be made for hardcore fans, but to show people who have not really deep dived into Prince before a look at his entire life. And I would assume, if you're going to do that, then you show the evolution of this guy, right? And how he always kept changing it up and how it came to be. So yeah, you talk to the people that were there back in the days. You show some of that early footage. I think we might be blown away by some super rare, probably old footage of Prince that we haven't seen before, or recordings that maybe some of us hardcore have heard, but I guarantee, some of the boombox recordings of Prince, majority of people that would watch this have never heard before and would probably be blown away like, whoa, he was starting that far back. So there's a lot for her to jump into. And again, this is a guy who recorded everything and she has access to it. So I'd be very curious to see who she has to sort of help her work on this and sort of what the story will be of this. But it's going to be, it cannot not be amazing. Just even if they just go strictly off of the footage and of the audio, would be pretty incredible. And there's a lot of stuff out there, even us hardcore fans have not seen or maybe only heard about. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of people are still holding on to that they didn't want to talk about before or just weren't comfortable putting out there. But this would be this would probably be the biggest Prince documentary of all time. I mean, it's a multi-night thing, series project. There's never been anything like this such of a dive into him, who he was. And it's Netflix, one of the biggest platforms out there. I would imagine most of all of the associate people would love to be a part of this, because this is the one that everybody's going to be watching. So, and again, I think they have a precedent for one of the newest ones that came out was the Quincy Jones documentary on Netflix.
Yes.
I know they did a stellar job on that, and that's only just a 2 hours, just as a 2 hour look. Well, they could have easily did a multi thing on Quincy, I would imagine. But so imagine them having access to the vault, and it's like, okay, go ham, Ava. do what you want to do. So, and I love too that it's her, because I remember hearing a story that Prince wanted to work with her before he passed. So it's good that there was that connection as well.
I wanted to circle back to what Mark was saying as far as past documentaries and not having access. I guess the bars definitely has to be that BBC, the Prince of Paisley Park, which had some of this footage and some of the backgrounds, backstage stuff as well. So if they can get to that level, and again, you probably don't have Prince signing off on this, like I assume with the Prince of Paisley Park documentary, then this should be stellar.
Yeah. To me, one of the ones that I have to compare it to the Spike Lee stuff from Michael Jackson. I mean, those are great.
Actually, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Kevin Smith sent out a tweet the other day saying that he actually saw the footage he shot, recently up there in Minneapolis when he did that thing 10, 11 years ago. Maybe that's being pulled out so she can get access to that as well. Because when we talk about things that the public has not seen, that's got to be in the top 5.
Yeah, that would be crazy. And why wouldn't she not reach out to him and get that? Because what did he say? It was Prince preaching, holding court at Paisley Park with fans. I mean, who would not want to see some of that? And this would be the perfect opportunity to finally show some of that material. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting, man. I can't wait to see what they do. All right. That's all we had on that. And there are a couple of other projects coming out too, I believe. Another one called Mr. Nelson on the North Side. Q Media Distribution is a company that is putting that out. I believe this one is going to feature Chuck D, Macy Gray, Shaka Khan, talking about Prince. So there's a lot of Prince stuff. And of course, I think we've talked about it before, but Paramount Pictures, they got to get their money. They are also creating a movie about, what's my name? Elisa Barber. You know, she's the one who won the Under the Cherry Moon contest with MTV back in 1986. And they did the premiere party there in Sheridan, Wyoming. Well, that is going to be a major motion picture. Elizabeth Banks will star in that movie. No one will star as Prince. I assume they're just going to use footage from that time of Prince. That's an interesting project to me, but
see, not to me, honestly, because it sounds like
I'm not interested.
Well, I'm saying it's interesting because they would make a movie off of something like that. Like, I would not be something I would have think that you would do, but I can understand why they would. The way they want to frame that, right, is there's this a motel worker, nobody in Middle America who, you know, gets in touch with one of the biggest pop stars in the world. You know, it's going to be more her story than anything. But
exactly.
But I mean, but I can see why they would play it that way. I wouldn't, but there is money in that. There will always be money in that. But
what's the money? What's the money in that?
You don't think they make movies all the time of the young lady who's what's the movie Michael Greer and
Michael Greer?
I mean Richard Gere.
Richard Gere.
Well, I don't know these people. What
Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman. It's that same type of, you know.
Yeah, but you got two people that are famous stars playing that. This is Elizabeth Banks.
Doesn't matter.
Right, it doesn't matter. It's that prototype.
It's been done before. Yeah. It's been done many times. You know, oh, Jesus. Oh, my brief run-in with, you know, the Beatles or the Stones or whoever. I crossed paths with so-and-so.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
But those projects, didn't they feature the Beatles and the Stones?
No.
What was it? Okay, well, I'm curious to know what the story would have been about that would have made it compelling to do. If it didn't.
If anything, they'll show her, like, response shots to the concert, or they'll show her footage of her, or they'll create footage of her backstage, and they'll have somebody walk by. There he is. Oh, wow. Did you see him? Yeah, he's adorable. But you're not going to see him online or on screen.
I don't see why that would make money.
I'm not the producer, but that's how it's going to happen.
No, I guess I'm saying I don't see why they think they have a winner in that idea.
I can see what you're saying, but, you know, again, I think there are movies that obviously show that sort of story. But I think the other reason, too, is that I believe this story was written recently as a blog of some sort online, and it went viral. And I would imagine that probably opened the eyes to the producers and say, "Yo, there's something to be done here. Let's turn this into a movie." So I think that's sort of how it gestated from a viral thing online. So there you go. I mean, it doesn't take much. Again, they can greenlight what they want to greenlight. They gonna get some money out of Prince one way or the other, however they gotta frame it. And if they can't get the estate, or, you know, we ain't gonna pay the money to get him in the movie, we'll still make the movie. Just use footage and get this bag. That's how Hollywood works. So I mean,
that's all right. Wouldn't they own that MTV footage? That show?
Paramount?
Yeah, Paramount's owned by MTV. Yeah.
Well, then there you go.
Well, that's the way around.
Well, yeah. I mean, so that's a synergy move then.
Damn, that's cold. That's cold-blooded. We just pay the royalties to use a song.
I would bet back when Thriller was at its insanity peak, I bet there are a couple movies like that. Not necessarily for the big screen, but I bet there are a couple things like that.
Well, if not for the big screen, yeah. I mean, I could see that. But I don't know about back. You're talking about back in the day, like 1982?
Yeah, 83, right around there. Yeah, I'm sure there was something. You know, I met Michael, or I saw Michael at my little truck stop, or something like that.
I'm not saying I saw everything, but I was anything had to do with Michael. I was on top of that. I don't remember seeing anything like that. I'm not saying I'm right.
Okay, but again, that premise, though. Now, again, I'm not saying it's going to go out there and make money, but that's the premise. And if Elizabeth Banks thinks she has a handle on it, that's her money.
Oh, well, no doubt. I'm just saying I think it's going to flop. Is what I'm saying. I don't see why it would make money.
Again, it may or may not, but it won't get any of my money. But who knows?
Oh, you're a Prince fan. You'll see it. Stop it.
I said I'll see it.
Stop it.
It's two different things.
Stop it. It says the movie is inspired by an article about the Cinderella story date, but the movie will be about how the event changed the lives of two very different women, the Manhattan PR exec responsible for the event's success, and the shy, awkward contest winner from Wyoming, whose town became the unexpected nexus of all things Prince for one unforgettable night.
And Mike said the magic word, inspired by.
Yeah.
That means they can go a whole other way, and it's going to be about the two women, and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
you know how that story works.
Yeah.
If you have anything in there that has to do with Prince and you don't show Prince,
well, no, as I'm saying, they're going to show the footage of Prince. They're not going to have a person play him. So, they say his presence will be felt. I mean, again, it ain't going to take much. It's all the people that say they don't feel it. I can guarantee you, the Prince fans going to come out and watch it. Stop lying. You know it's got Prince on it. You ain't going to hype this up. I ain't buying that release. Stop it. You know you going to be there. You may not act like you ain't going to see it. They going to go see it. I'm going to go see it.
Even though I hate watching.
Yeah, you can hate it, but you're going to give them their money. Just like, I ain't watching that movie because they such and such. Oh, yeah, I'm doing a review on it. Shots fired. Anyway, so a lot
I hear you, Negro.
What you say?
I hear you, Negro. You ain't slick.
I know. But anyway, definitely Prince projects are coming soon. Don't doubt yourself.